Submitted for your approval, a small bottle of promise. Clear as water, radiant as the future. It claims to cure fatigue, revive vitality, and light a fire in the soul. But within its elixir lies more than just a miracle medicine. There lies the spark of something far more dangerous, a product of science unchecked, of a con man's scheme. Our story takes place in an age when radiation was the new wonder, and faith in progress ran higher than a Geiger counter. But today, we will discuss one man who believes he's found the fountain of youth, a cure-all. He'll soon discover that the cure he asked for will lead him to the 0 hour. Marie Curie, we know her. She made one of the biggest contributions to the scientific world ever by experimenting and discovering radiation. And for this video, she discovered radium. However, the radium that she was using would not be the type of radium disseminated into the public by different companies. That radium would have been raw radium put together and went through... I'm not even trying to say it. Cameron, put it above, put it on the cure bike, and that would turn it into its metallic state that would be put into the public, into different things, which I'll get into later. That's just the basis of how we got to this, point. People would manufacture stuff with the radium until 1970, and they had put radium into stuff like paint for it to be luminescent, toothpaste, gum, shampoo, locks, watches, drinks, a bunch of types of food. There was actually a company called, I think it's called Radium, and they said that they had like radium infused butter, but they didn't have radium infused butter, which probably was better for you than the actual stuff. So I mean, hey, you can thank them for that. But this brings us into our next point of the video, where we talk about very interesting person. William J. A. Bailey, born May 25th, 1884, in Boston, Massachusetts, was... I don't want to say he was a good guy. He wasn't a good guy at all. Well, first of his issues was that he got accepted into Harvard, which is not bad at all. But he did not graduate from Harvard, because he's a bum. I'll put that on my script. He's a bum. Then in 1918, Bailey started selling Radium water, which he said could, cure mental and physical diseases, which, let me look at my script. Diabetes, anemia, constipation, asthma. He basically said, Are you really ill? Drink this water. And it's just, what? In 1922, he would have some success with this by marketing it as a cure-all, and he would call it, give Superman his power, which, not to be that guy, but Superman actually gets his powers from the sun, like a plant. He would put it into, toothpaste, hair stuff, and obviously the water and alcohol. Well, I don't know. He became rich from this, and he would also give it the name, saying it was a cure for the living dead and perpetual sunshine. So if the little rat man couldn't get any worse, he's telling people that radiation will give them eternal life. The son of an industrialist, Eben Byers, would grow up, in a rich family, and he would attend Yale, and he would actually do really good on their golf team. He came right up in the 1902 golf team, and he kind of had his life, on track. He knew what he was doing, but one day he hurt his arm, and that's kind of where stuff went downhill for him. He went to the doctor. The doctor prescribed him Radium, And he admitted multiple times that he said, this gives me more of a toned up feeling. I'm going to keep taking this. And he would take over 1,400 doses of Radithor. Now, you probably might know, but that's pretty bad. Pretty bad, bro. Because the content of Radithor in those bottles was, can't find an exact number, but it was a lot more than any human should be taking in one drink, let alone 1,400. However, people would let him go on his way and keep doing this. However, in 1931, the Federal Trade Commission would send someone out to get his story on Radithor. And whenever entering his house, and this is where, if you're squeamish or if you don't like hearing violent things, I think you should maybe skip later into the video. Byers' whole upper jaw, except for 2 front teeth, were gone and had to be amputated. There were holes developing in his skull, and he was not doing very well. He didn't really have cancer, but he had radiation poisoning, is what they called it at the time, because radium emits, radiation alpha, gamma, beta waves. But usually it wouldn't have enough ability to get in and damage cells. Whenever you ingest so much of it, it allows the radiation to accumulate in your bones and your cells, because usually your skin would be able to just block it all, essentially. And yeah, and without the shielding provided by the skin, he essentially just rotted from the inside out. It's not fun, but I would like to say that there's a photo of Eric Byers, which it really isn't. I'll probably use it in the video's thumbnail, or I'll probably just put it on screen right now. Again, trigger warning, but this, wherever I'm pointing, there. That picture is not Eric Byers. That is a completely unnamed person who had their jaw blown off, and I believe it was World War I or II. But if you see anyone saying that, remind them that's not Eric Byers. That is someone completely different. However, Eric Byers did die from all of the complications due to, ingesting radium, and he was buried in a lead-lined coffin. However, unfortunately, this is not where the issue of radium killing people stops. And while you could, to an extent, say Bately he didn't know what he was doing, or that he didn't know of the ill effects of radium, and you could, to a point, say that. However, with the Radium girls, which were like at least 70 women that we know of, who were painting the dials of watches and stuff, they were instructed to, wet the tip of their brush by putting it in their mouth, and then dipping it in the paint, and then brushing it on. Now, of course, this is ingesting radium, and hey, you could give them the benefit of the doubt if they didn't know either. They were wearing lead-lined suits whenever they were doing this, and letting those 70 women just do it without any suit, no protection, no nothing. They let them die, essentially dooming them to death. And whenever people started dying from that, there were some accounts. Also, these people would be paid criminally low for this. But the first people to notice that these issues were happening was dentists. Whenever they would see ulcers, loose teeth, lesions. There was this one person who I believe that he accounted as whenever he was working on the woman's jaw, he could take it off just with his hands. That's how degraded the jawbone was. And the companies, they would just try to keep this under wraps. And whenever the first women started dying from this, they wanted to say and covered up by saying that they had syphilis, which is disgusting because they didn't have that, and they were dying because they forced them to paint with radioactive materials, which also worked as a smear campaign against the women who were trying to get compensation for... I can't stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Underpaid, radium, poisoning. They couldn't even own up to that. They couldn't own up to the fact that they put these people into one of the worst situations ever. And they almost never got anything. Never got almost anything. Any type of compensation. They had to... The fact that they had to fight. Like... They had to fight to get compensation for something the company did is just beyond fucked up. It's just beyond that. And it's just sad. It's just sad. And one of the main factors of why they were able to get what they, get the something, to get anything, was because the creator of the dial paint and stuff, the guy who did that, he died because he had radium in his hands. I don't know what happened to those executives of those companies, but I hope you're rotting in hell, you stupid pieces of shit. But I don't even want to know what happened to what it had this effects had on probably them mentally. This has been an interesting video to research. It spiked my interest because I had seen that original photo about Eric Byers, and I just wanted to talk about it. I just want to talk about this because, hey, I think more people should know about this. I know the Radium Girls were very influential. I just wanted to get my opinion out there. But I guess a good outro for this video, to try to put it into a little comedic bow. If someone hands you radiation in a bottle, don't take it. The effects will be jaw-dropping. Did you get it because the jaw? Yeah, lighten up, alright?